Good evening. Today, I don't have a very interesting idea or innovation, but I have a story of inspiration. My journey from from an army camp to a refugee camp to a university campus. Some of you here may think that going to school is really hard. Well, try herding goats in a hot summer, barefoot, with old thorns piercing through your little feet. That was me growing up in a small village of Makwach in South Sudan. We did not have electricity. We did not have TVs, obviously. We didn't have electronics. But life was beautiful. Children would dance, sing. I was fairly okay singer. I still sing my childhood song to this day. Although we didn't have access to modern education, my father thought I could be a good blacksmith. So he approached a famous blacksmith in our village to mentor me. And I was excited. Young boys were taught how to hunt animals, how to identify edible wild fruits, how to dodge spears, not knowing the village fighting will no longer be fought with spears, but guns. My aspiration and excitement would be short-lived when I woke up one morning to the sound of guns, wailing of children and women. Smoke from burning houses filled the air. Usually in my village, when kids see a burning house, they will run toward the place to be the first to find out what happened and be the first person to report to their family, especially the elderly one. But this time was different. It was different because people were shouting, "Ay Arab," meeting the Arab militias. Others were crying, "Ah Nyagana Nuer," local language meaning the Nuer rebels. I wasn't going to wait around to find out who they were. Waiting for my mother who was trying to bundle up my little brother was such a pain. So I ditched her. I ran. I ran away. I ran toward the forest that everyone was running to. It would be a long day of frantically racing toward safety and uncontrollably crying my lung out, calling my mama, because things were getting real, and I mean real ugly. A crying child was not welcome into the hiding bushes. People would tell me, "Keep going, or we will kill you if you alert the enemy to our direction." It would be weeks before the SPLA rebels came to the rescue of a completely burned village. All the cattle were taken, all the food. The village had to be deserted to a displaced camp within Sudan. Some of children like myself who were not able to locate their parent during those chaos were round up to be looked after by the SPLA rebels. We were called the Red Army, in Arabic locally known as Jej al-Amer. These are bunch of children under the age of 12 that are reserved as a backup army. And every year, the SPLA rebel officers would pick out a taller, seemingly stronger boys to join the active army called Jech al-Aswad, the Black Army. That was the serving army. At the time, most of us would stand on our toes to look taller to join the active army, which seemed to be well fed to us, unlike our Red Army that was starving and malnourished. But as time goes by, I begin to notice that most of the children that were recruited into the active army did not come back. And you could simply assume that they probably died in the combat. I've always been tall for my age, and at the time, I would be turning 13 soon. So I begin to be cold in my stomach. I begin to fear that in the next election, I would probably be selected into the active army. But there was nowhere to escape to. Escaping was not an option. Children who tried to escape were summoned and executed by fire squad in front of all the children. That's terrifying. So escaping was not an option until one evening when I was approached by one of my teachers. He was planning to escape to a neighboring country of Kenya. And he asked me if I could come with him. At first, I thought he was trying to trick me and get me killed. But he convinced me. He told me being killed by fire squad was a faster, less painful death than the slow death in these camps. In a way, he was right. And I was convinced. I sort of trust him, and I knew him. So I agreed to take up with him. We escaped the terror of the SPLA rebels, and we settled in Kakuma refugee camp. Kakuma refugee camp is in Kenya, northwestern part of Kenya. It's currently a home to over 160,000 refugees from different war-torn countries. I was registered by United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees. And refugee camps are not exactly the safe haven I thought they usually are, or they would be. There was a lot of insecurity. The local host community would rob people at night. They would take the little food you have in the house, and if you resist, they will kill you. There was a lot of other challenges like inadequate medical care and little higher education. I was determined. I was determined to take advantage of the free literal education that was being offered by United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, UNHCR. And I would spend the next 10 years preparing for World University Services of Canada scholarship, the only and most prestigious scholarship that combined university education with the resettlement. That was my only hope. I would sell part of my food to buy condiments like Royco beef, yeast, locally known as kamira, onion, sugar, at a wholesale price. And later in the evening after school, I would retail them. I would walk around the block calling out the item I have for sale. This business kind of earned me a mockery name, Rico Beef. But I humbly accept it was a way of life. This was how I was able to buy myself clothes and shoes for school. And most importantly, kerosene for my lantern lamp that I used to study at night to make sure I get a good grade. I have the physique of NBA player, right? But I gave up sport to devote more time to my studies because I've set my mind on the WOOS scholarship. Competing for a national exam in Kenya is one of the toughest challenges I have ever taken. But I was prepared, and I did very well in the national examination. I came out as the top student in all the refugee secondary school. In 2008, I was awarded the WOOS scholarship to come to Canada, and I was picked by the University of Manitoba local committee. This scholarship is set up through a levy through University of Manitoba Student Union, where each undergraduate student contributes 50 cents toward the student refugee. And I would assume that some of you in the audience here could have contributed that 50 cents toward my sponsorship. And I say, thank you. Thank you all. I wasn't going to disappoint you. I enrolled in the engineering program at the University of Manitoba here, and I took advantage of a co-op option. I got my first co-op placement with the City of Edmonton, and later on took up another co-op option with the government of Nunavut. In 2014, fall, I came back for my last semester, and I graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering. In 2015, I went back to my home country of South Sudan that is still in turmoil. I went back to my home village. It wasn't the same place that I left. It was a forest with few houses of few determined people who didn't have anywhere to go. It was heartbreaking. But there was hope. There was hope in me. There was hope in some of my countrymen who have the opportunity to go to school. That hopefully some days when fees return to South Sudan, will be part of the rebuilding the nation. Given my education experience and the passion to work on my new home-found city, I took up a position with the City of Winnipeg, and I'm currently a city engineer designate with the Water and Waste Department Engineering Division. I could have starved to death during those days. I could have slept and never wake up like most of the children during those long journeys. But I did not. Could have been a victim of mine, air bombardment. But I'm here. There's an African proverb that says, however long the night, the dawn will break. I never lost hope. I never gave up. And you should not give up either. You should keep up with the fight. When I was a little boy, we used to sing a song. It says in my language, Adit pio chaguolo kuchira da gualo. What that means is the intolerant, the impatient, the greedy is dead. And our harvest is ripe. It was a song of tolerance, song of resilience, songs of patience. Once again, I would like to say kudos to you, all my sponsors who contribute that 50 cents, for you have changed a life of a child soldier to a city engineer. Thank you. Merci beaucoup.